So, as of posting this video, it's been 4 weeks since Donald Trump won the election, and to say it's been a wild ride is a bit of an understatement.
Perhaps the strangest phenomenon was the surprising number of people who voted for Democrats down ballot and then checked off Donald Trump for president.
And rid ourselves of Donald Trump half as quickly as the UK got rid of their failed leadership. That is the only hope that I could have, but something tells me that he will stick around for the entire 4 years.
President-elect Donald Trump made rolling back transgender rights a key issue in his campaign. Republicans spent more than $200 million on ads targeting trans individuals, while Trump himself promised to limit access to gender-affirming health care and to prevent trans athletes from participating in school sports. Here's Trump back in February of 2023.
I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
I think most marginalized communities in the USA right now are scared of what he's going to do. But as someone in the LGBTQIA plus community, especially the T part, I'm horrified. Not only have Republicans been ramping up their anti-LGBT and anti-trans rhetoric, but now we have Democrats blaming the trans community as being one of the main reasons they lost this election.
Kamala Harris's election loss is causing major finger-pointing within the Democratic Party. Many Democrats want to hold President Biden responsible. There are others who say veteran campaign operatives need to get out of the way for a new generation of leadership. But some Democrats are blaming a coalition with arguably much less power in American politics, and that's transgender people. Congressman Tom Suozzi, a Democrat from New York, told the New York Times this week, "I don't want to discriminate against anybody, but I don't think biological boys should be playing in girls' sports." And Congressman Seth Moulton, a Democrat from Massachusetts, also told the Times, "I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by male or formerly male athletes. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." It remains to be seen whether this is going to gain traction among other Democratic lawmakers, and if they're going to alienate a group of voters who remain fiercely loyal to the Democratic Party.
And honestly, I could do a whole video on how trans issues are so low down on voters' minds and how Republicans are actually the ones causing the whole identity politics craze right now. Like I said, that's a whole other video, whole other topic. If you do want to see that though, let me know in the comments down below, I might do it. But as a member of the queer community, I don't even want to begin to think about how they're going to roll back our rights in the next 4 years. And before anyone comes at me in the comments telling me I'm privileged and there are a whole lot worse places I could be right now, you're right. I am privileged. There are a lot of privileges being a queer person in the US. But that doesn't mean that over the last 7-8 years, conservative parties have gone out of their way to attack our communities with laws and bills that have been passed state and federally. The newest one being attacking trans people's rights to go to the bathroom in Capitol buildings. Solely to attack the newest member of Congress who happens to be the first openly trans woman. I love this country. Like, I really don't understand what the fuck is wrong with these people and why they care so much about someone literally just trying to use the bathroom. It doesn't make sense. It's weird. Stop. But over the last 4 weeks, I probably, much like many of you, have been isolating, processing what's happened, and doom scrolling on TikTok. Is it healthy? No, but it's what I've been doing. I know that I personally have been looking into different ways to get to safer places, try to calm my anxiety about what I think is going to happen, and then trying to figure out what actually is or isn't going to happen over the next 4 years. And honestly, it's been one of the most stressful months of my life, not only because of what's going on politically, but a lot of things in my personal life. But when it does come to the political aspect of the stress that has been happening, it's mostly because we really don't know what is going to be happening. We really don't know how bad it's going to be for our community when he takes office. Which is why, if you are queer and scared, please keep watching this video. I'm gonna be going into some things that can help anyone in the queer community right now. feel a little bit safer, hopefully, and how we can get through this really shitty moment in history together. So the very first thing I know that a lot of people have already talked about, which is potentially seeing if you can either move out of the country or get to a blue state. Now, I know that getting to a blue state would probably be the most viable thing for a lot of people. Moving anywhere is a luxury and a privilege that unfortunately a lot of people do not have. If you do have that privilege and that luxury, please see about doing that. I am very fortunate that I am already in a blue state, and I definitely fear for my siblings in red states that are already living under conservative laws and bills that put their livelihoods at risk. There are a lot more educated people about this. I'm going to put a few down in the description below to give some resources on how to go about potentially moving either to a blue state or out of country. There's a lot of resources on TikTok going on within the last month, but a lot of people talk about that in general anyway. If unfortunately that is not an option for you, the next thing I would highly recommend is getting all of your documents together. That really means your birth certificate, your passport, your social security card, especially if you are a trans person who has already gotten your gender marker changed. This is so important to get it changed on every single piece of government document that might unfortunately out you at some point. Having your gender marker on all of your government documents be the same will be one of the best ways to protect yourself as a trans person going into the next 4 years. It can be rather hard, especially if you don't necessarily have access to all of those documents. But please consider doing that before he gets in office, because it's going to be a lot harder considering that on day one he wants to make federal stops for people to change their gender markers on their government documents. Another thing that I've heard a lot of people talk about that I'm just going to reiterate is community building. It is so important right now to get out there, talk to other people, get to know the people in your communities, whether that is people IRL in your area, in your cities, going out, being around other queer and trans people and feeling safe and connected to them, knowing that you do have people around you who can and will protect you, who can and will be there for you in case your living situation is not the best or is unsafe potentially in the next 4 years. Building those connections and relationships with people and knowing that we're all here for each other, because it's gonna be a really hard time. Another thing that I've kind of not seen a lot of people talk about that I personally am going to start getting into is learning how to defend myself. I know that queer and trans communities have a very high rate of assault and harassment in general. I think it is going to get a lot higher in the next 4 years as people feel more comfortable being more physically violent in public. Unfortunately, I definitely think working out, taking care of yourself, just making sure you're as physically fit as possible. I know I personally want to be taking self-defense classes in case anything happens. It's a good idea in general, but now more than ever, especially if you are visibly queer looking, to know how to defend yourself, and potentially if you have to intervene with someone else, to be able to defend other people as well. This goes to anyone who is not in a safe environment. Unfortunately, potentially staying in the closet is potentially something that could be the safest option for you. I personally am of the belief that it is perfectly valid staying in the closet as long as you need, if it is not safe for you to do it. I know a lot of people in the queer community tend to hate a lot and judge and shame people who stay in the closet. It's there for a reason. It is unfortunately something that has to happen sometimes, and I completely understand if there are a lot of people who either go back in the closet or just stay in the closet over the next 4 years, feeling out how the political landscape affects the areas that we're living in, how people interact with queer people, because it's already not the greatest, so I'm gonna assume it's going to be getting worse. This is all, again, I hope I look back on this video and think, oh my god, I was fear-mongering and I was totally wrong. Do I want all of this stuff to happen? Do I want the next 4 years to be bad for marginalized communities and the queer community? No, I fucking don't. But the fact that we're having to do this says so much about the incoming administration that I feel obligated to inform people on how to stay safe, because I genuinely do not know how it's going to be affecting everyday queer and trans people's lives. And that's absolutely horrifying. I wish the outcome of this was extremely different and I didn't have to make videos like this, but it is very important to be doing this. If I can help one queer person stay safe, or one queer person know that they're not alone in their fear and their anxiety, that's all I want. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below how scared you are and how much of this stuff do you think is actually going to happen versus what's not going to happen. I'm genuinely absolutely horrified, which is why I haven't been making videos, but I know that I need to get back to doing it and being positive for y'all, because honestly we need that right now. I'm going to be putting a bunch of resources down below to a lot more informed content creators than myself to hopefully help y'all get a little bit more information and feel maybe a little bit safer. That's literally all I want to do. I promise I will be getting back to my regular content after this video. I probably will be making slightly more political videos in the future, just to keep y'all up to date on what's going on, but I will try to balance that out with the fun, positive, calm vibes that I do try to keep on this channel in general. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this. I know that we can get through this time together as a community, as people who just literally want to be able to live our lives. That's all any marginalized community wants, and the queer community is extremely resilient and we're not going anywhere. Even if they try to hide us, we're still here. We are still who we are, even if they try to push against us as much as possible. Yeah, thank you all, and hopefully the next video will be a bit more positive than this one. Bye.